Hello everyone, this is Aaron Johnson with the Johnson iRacing team, bringing you part 4 of our tutorial. That's building a Diet Coke street stock. As you'll see, since we finished our last tutorial by putting the Crane Cams decal on our street stock, rather than boring you by putting what looks like about 12 decals on each side of the car, I went ahead and put those on using the same process. All you need to do is do the same thing you did to put the Crane Cams decal on to put any of these other decals on. And I recolored the Monroe Shocks decal to match the Diet Coke logos here, or the numbers and the Coke and the logos, because I really like that color. And I think that color is going to pop against the background that we're going to have on our chromium plated Diet Coke car. What I want to do next is I want to fill in these last few sponsor boxes. I went ahead and jumped into the sponsor block locations. I opened it up and I dropped the opacity down so that we could see through them and see where these sponsors were going to be located. And I've been thinking very carefully about what I'd like to put on these cars and where I'd like to put it. And I think the first thing I'd like to do is I would like to go with a Napa sponsorship, I think, for the small square here. We were always sponsored by Napa back when we raced in the 90s. All of our cars had Napa sponsorships. So this will be a little bit of an homage to the Johnson Racing team from back in about 1989 to about 1998 or 99. So that decade. I'm going to find this by going to my desktop. I'll go into the iRacing files. This is where I keep all of my files. And since this one's going to be a Johnson Racing Team file, it's going to be one that we've used in Johnson Racing Team iRacing graphics. I'm going to come down here and we're going to grab this Napa Auto Parts logo. That's what I think we're going to grab. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And then I'm going to copy. I'll come over here to the legends, to the street stock, and I want to make sure that I've got the sponsor layer selected. So it's going to be the sponsor layer where I'm going to put this. I'm going to go ahead and paste it down, and then I want to resize it so that it fits inside that square, or close to being inside that square. That's still a little large. We're going to make this smaller yet. We want the Napa Auto Parts logo to be right here. We want the top of it to be even. We want the right side of it to be... That looks pretty good. Maybe just a touch smaller yet. So I let off the button at the wrong time. So you want to make sure you hit Shift, then grab, then release the mouse button, and then hit your Shift button again. And pull that down and make it pretty close to centered. I like that. Now I'm going to copy. Go ahead and paste. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. I'm going to grab this and pull it over here and put it into that block. Okay, so we've got the Napa sponsorship put on, and I still want to find something that I want to put across the deck lid. And I do have one other idea. We always used a lot of equipment from Summit Racing. Jegs was not as big in 1992 as Summit was, so a lot of the things that we ordered from Summit Racing and from Simpson Race Products. I think I'd like to put a Summit Racing logo on the trunk, so I'm going to open. I have a Summit Racing car that's going to be in my iRacing files. It's down here under, well, I said I had a Summit Racing car. Yeah, here it is. So it's under the Summit Racing car. I really like this Summit logo where they are the World Speed Shop. So we're going to take that, and you'll notice that that's really big. So I'm going to resize that probably to about, make that about 400 pixels. And we're going to put it on the trunk. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise so that it looks right on the trunk. And hit OK. We're going to go to Image. We're going to rotate canvas 90 degrees clockwise. Then we're going to select this big baby. We're going to copy it. We're going to come over here now to our street stock layer. We're going to hit the paste button. It's still too large, but I'd rather have to size it down on this page than to try to make it bigger because you lose resolution. I'll pull it over onto the trunk. Still a little big. So we're going to drop that just a touch more. Center that on the trunk. It's still just a little large. So I think I want to make it just a little smaller. And then we'll use the arrow keys to try to center it up here. I'm going to want the center line of the trunk to go kind of through the center of the summit. That's pretty close, just kind of judging by the outline of the blue, so I think that's going to look pretty good. And that's all on my sponsor level. So what I've done now is I've basically created my car. I haven't put anything on the front of the back yet. I certainly could, but I think, we're going to put one thing on the front of the back. We're going to put it under the decal layer. And we're going to include the Johnson iRacing team here. This is the Johnson iRacing team car. Let's go ahead and include that. We're going to put some text on it. I want the text to be the same color as the Diet Coke numbers are. We're going to insert the text. It's not going to need to be 250. We're going to want it to be smaller, say maybe around 72. We're going to start the text right here. I tend to like a cursive for the Johnson iRacing team. And the cursive we use most often is a brush script, MT. And we will just type in, I've got the caps lock on, we don't want that, Johnson iRacing team. We're going to center that. And we're going to center it right on that line. And I think it could stand to be just a touch bigger. So let's see if we can't make this more like 80. Yeah, that's better. And then we'll recenter. So it's going to be more like 80. And then I think we could put another sponsor right here. But I think we're probably just going to go ahead and leave that sponsor panel blank. And if we were to do anything, we'd probably just put another set of zeros on it. So I think this is probably what we're going to do for now. This is enough to consider this a complete enough car. We could certainly do more. We could add some Coca-Cola striping down the side, and I might do that in the future as part of another tutorial. I think for this one, we want to go ahead and we want to get to the part where we finish up this race car. So right now, let's just kind of look at what we have. We're gonna do away with the sponsor block location mask. We're gonna leave the license on, and then let's just pull all of our graphics off the car so that we can just kind of see what the car looks like. We're going to make sure we turn the wireframe off. We don't want to export it with a wireframe on, or those wires will show up. So this is kind of what our car looks like. It's a white, kind of an off-white car. It's going to be a Diet Coke car. We're going to end up making it kind of a silver color for Diet Coke, but right now it's going to go ahead and be white. And we're going to be able to go through and look at everything we put on it. Right? We put some sponsors on there. We've got Diet Coke, Summit Racing, and Napa as our primary sponsors on this car. We have room, if we want, to go ahead and put another sponsor up here in the left tail light, but I think we're going to leave that. Our numbers are 00 in the Diet Coke red and black. They show up on the left front headlight, the right rear tail light, then on the sides and the tops of the car. And our decal layer shows the Johnson iRacing team, that's us, and all the different racing decals we put on the car to give it that air of authenticity. This is what we want to export that we can then upload into iRacing and race as our paint scheme. How do we do that? Well, as I've said before, when we save a file, what saves in the file is only what we can see on the screen. So all these different parts are going to save, and the main paint scheme is going to save in white. Even though we've got the main car body paint turned on as blue, we can't see it because the white layer is above it. Right? If we wanted to make the car blue, we could just drag the white layer below it. The car would stay blue. I think we want this car to be white, and we'll show you why on the next piece of the tutorial. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit File. We're going to hit Save As. We've got our Diet Coke car. We're going to save this as a TGA file. That's a Targa file. We're going to hit Save. Now it's going to give us this configuration save. It's saving our file size. It's auto-detecting the bit depth, doing some other things. We're just going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it's going to say flatten the image or cancel. We want to go ahead and flatten it. Okay, and what that did is that collapsed all of our layers so that what we see is what we get. Now we're going to do some more work on this car, so the first thing we want to do before we do anything else is we want to undo that action. Now we want to know what this car is going to look like. We have a couple of options. One, we could go back over here and we could just go to Trading Paints and we could upload this file as our street stock racing file. And I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. So let's just go ahead. We're going to go to street stock. It's a custom number, so we're going to pick it. We're going to choose paint. We're going to pick a new paint. We're going to upload car number 00. We'll select the file here. And we've got to go to our iRacing files, to our Diet Coke car, and we've got to pick this street stock TGA. We're going to open that. That's going to upload. That's processing through. That's uploaded our TGA file. It says no paint selected. It's just taking it a minute to refresh. All right. Well, that was interesting because that should have uploaded our TGA. There it is. It just took it a minute. So the internet's fairly slow today. All right, so this is what our car is going to look like in preview space. If we were to go start a test session, we'd be able to see this car. And I think what we're going to want to do next is we probably want to go to the iRacing UI and we're going to want to paint the wheels to match. So we're going to go back to our street stock. Our primary color we're going to note here is ED1A3B. I'm just going to jot that down on a piece of scrap paper. That's the red color of the Diet Coke. We're going to want to paint the wheels of this car to match. So we're going to go to the iRacing interface that we already had open. We're going to go to Paint Cars. We're going to grab the street stock, which I've been running in a University of Missouri paint, but I'm going to go ahead and change the wheel color for now. I'm just going to go to Wheels. I'm going to type in that 6-letter code that I just wrote down, which was ED1A3B. That's going to change the wheels, and I think I'm going to go ahead and run them chrome. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and run them chrome for now. I'm going to hit the back button, and I'm going to close out of here, and then I'm going to go ahead and close out of the iRacing dialog box for now. And I want to go ahead and log in to the iRacing main page. Go to the member site. I like to run through this interface. I think this interface is a little better. And so we're going to run through this interface, and that's going to allow us, it's a little easier just to select what you want to do in terms of testing. So we're going to test. We're going to pick the street stock. We're at Thompson Motorsports Park. I think we're going to go ahead and test at USA International. We're going to pick, afternoon will be fine, and then we'll test the car on the track. Now once this loads, we should see our Diet Coke car load up with the red chromium plated wheels that we just chose, with a white paint scheme, with all of the logos. We should be able to see that. So that's going to be the next thing we're going to do. We're waiting. Again, I've said this more than once, you'll get tired of hearing me say it, but our rural internet here is fairly slow. And if we have, I've got 2 kids, I've got a wife, we all use the internet. We're on a DSL that has a maximum download speed of around 5 megabits per second. So if we're all on the internet at the same time, we do bump into some issues. I may very well find that if I were to try to race right now, I wouldn't be able to go racing. And that's okay. It's just, it is what it is. So we're going to wait for the tech inspection to complete. We're going to hop in the car. We're going to hope that the car resets. We can see that the paint scheme reset. We can also see that we've got something red and black on the hood. So I'm going to go ahead and hop in here. I've got the sound to the stock car turned off so that it's not drowning my voice out since we're not racing. I'm going to go ahead and hit the brakes here, hop out of the car. We should be able to see the Diet Coke car. Fast forward for just a minute. So there's our Diet Coke car. It looks pretty good. It's got everything on it that we wanted on it. We can use Control F12 in a test session. That'll bring up the camera and we can zoom in to take a closer look. Car looks pretty good. We can rotate around the car here to see if it looks the way we think it's going to look. The numbers are almost pink. The car is white. We got a little shrubbery in the way. It is definitely a Diet Coke car. The Johnson iRacing team's in about the right spot. So we did a pretty decent job of getting the things that we wanted on the car on the car. I think the Diet Coke logo might be able to stand to go down just a little bit. But I think for what we're trying to accomplish here, that's going to be okay. So for our first step through here, we'll zoom back through the foliage, let the car come around the other side. We can see the double zeros on the front. The opposite side of the car looks pretty good. We've got more trees in the way. So I think that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and Alt-Tab here, and that'll give us a chance to pull up our toolbar. We'll go back to the stock TGA. So that's the conclusion of tutorial portion number 4, tutorial part 4. The next step that we'll start next time is we're going to figure out how to turn this car chromium plated. We're going to chromium plate all of the base paint of the car. We're going to turn it silver, and then we're going to make sure that the Coke and the zeros all stay flat red, because I want that flat red color. I don't want that to be shiny, because on the side of a Coke can, on the side of a Diet Coke can, the Diet Coke part never used to be shiny, so I want it to be kind of a throwback. That's what we're going to do next time. For the Johnson iRacing team, this is Aaron Johnson saying, go fast, turn left, have fun.